Hey there, it's Mike with Diggable Designs, and wanted to put together a quick video for our clients, for anyone else out there interested in how to do a quick winterization of your backflow device for your sprinkler system. We oftentimes go through second half of October here in Colorado to winterize our client systems by blowing air using a compressor through their system. But we're experiencing coming tonight and following night a quick freeze, early freeze. It's the beginning of October, and we want to make sure that we protect this part of our sprinkler system. It's all metal, it's above ground, it's very exposed compared to the rest of the system, which basically has your 6 inches of your yard on top of it, insulating it. So this is an expensive component typically for install, and so you don't want to have to install it again. So if you don't know where it is on your house, take a quick lap around the house and you'll likely find it. But there's some different valves we're going to be turning. We're going to be going into the basement here in a minute to shut off the main water supply. But anyhow, so you want to be looking for this, and it's going to be handy to have a flathead screwdriver on you. Depending on your system, you might need a wrench, but for the most part, this tool here will do the trick. Okay, so now we're in the basement of this house where the water shutoff is for the irrigation system. So in order to make sure when we're doing the components upstairs aren't shooting water everywhere, we want to go ahead and turn off the system inside the house as our first thing. So some houses are going to not have a finished basement, and you'll just be able to see that pipe coming back to the ceiling. You're gonna want to trace that back to typically the main water supply. In this house, the main water shutoff is down here, and so there was a separate line installed for the irrigation system with its own shutoff up here above it. So inside here, you can't see it right now with how this one's in here, but if I put my hand behind it, there's actually a shutoff, a handle here for the ball valve. So when it's down flat with the pipe going the same direction or parallel, the water is on. When you turn it like that, a quarter turn up or down depending on your system, it is now perpendicular to the pipe, so the water's off. This little thing here is a drain, so now that the water's off, when we're all prepared upstairs, we can come back down here and open that up, and it'll drain the water out. If I open it up right now, it might give me a few drops of water, but the water will actually be suspended in the pipe due to a vacuum effect by all of the valves being closed upstairs. So, I personally prefer to come and open this as one of the last things I do once I have some airflow upstairs to push the water through the pipe. This is a pretty tight place to be working. Oftentimes you have enough room to put a cup or a bucket or maybe even a hose you want to put on here to drain the water into a larger bucket. Depending how big your system is, you could have a lot of water in here. So this is going to make a real mess. If I just open this, it's going to be shooting water down behind my wall. It's going to be creating potential for mold. A couple drops of water is not going to hurt anything, but if you have a gallon of water come through here, you don't want that behind your wall. So in this case, I've got a bucket, and I just took a piece of plastic. This is the top of the vegetable container, and it's very flexible, so I've kind of made a funnel. So I can stick this under here now, and when I open that up, it's going to run down here into this bucket. Anyhow, let's head back upstairs and go over a few more steps. All right, so we're back upstairs now, and what I'm going to do here is open one of these smaller ball valves, and that's going to let the air travel into the backflow, and it's going to break this seal in here because this is a one-way valve. It's going to allow that air to go ahead and chase that water down through this pipe when I go and drain it later. So I'm going to start by opening these. They are under pressure currently. You're going to let the pressure. There is quite a bit of back pressure in this, so it is lessening. Depending on how much line you have between your system and the backflow will determine how much water actually comes out of there. So don't get in the way of the water, but don't let it scare you if there's water coming out still. It's just a lot of pressure in there pushing that water out, so that's good. That's a lot of pressure that we don't have, a lot of water we don't have in the system anymore that could potentially freeze. So as you can see, that's diminishing. I'm going to open up this one as well. Okay, now while those are draining out, we're going to go ahead and go over to a valve box, because this is draining this portion of water right here, and it's going to drain to the basement, but we still have to worry about this leg. So this leg here, the water comes through and goes into the ground and goes to our valve boxes. So this is going to still have water in it. So actually over here we have a valve box. Some of you might recognize it by the green lid in your lawn or landscape. And if you look down in here, come around to this side, this is a manual drain. Many of our clients have an automatic drain as well, which is a blue drain that once it's not under pressure anymore, it's going to release on its own. So if you come in here and you have a little blue valve with like, looks like white cotton in the middle of it, that'll release under its own timing. It's another one-way valve, but this one here's a manual, so I'm going to open this by turning it to the left. You can see the water coming out, and it's just going to drain. So all these plastic parts here are going to be safe from the freeze as well. All right, then you can go ahead and close that back up. Now in the spring, or if we get this turned back on for the next 2 weeks, you're pretty much going to need to reverse all this and make sure that when you turn your system back on over here, you're going to have water shooting out of that down there. So you need to make sure to close that first. All right, so our water over here has stopped flowing. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you one more thing. What you want to do at the end of the season, or for something like this, is actually turn all these valves to 45 degrees, including these two little valves. Because technically when they're wide open, water can get trapped along the sides of these valves and actually still burst them. So you don't want to leave it wide open or completely closed. You actually want to have everything at a 45. There's still enough air flowing through here that when I go down to the basement, that's still going to drain the water. All right, now that we're back down here in the basement, we're going to go ahead and drain the rest of the pipe from the backflow when it comes through to the wall here, where there's to get all that water back to behind the wall where we have insulation and the ability to not have it freeze. So again, our water's already off, so the last thing to do is to take this cap off. Be careful, when you start unscrewing this cap, it is going to have some water coming out. It will spray a little bit, but hold on to that cap tightly, because if you drop it behind the wall, you're going to be running down to your local hardware store to have to get another one. It's a replaceable part, but keep a hold on it and have a bucket ready. And again, I've got my system using a little homemade funnel. So I'm going to stick this up here. Again, it might be a little awkward, but it's going to get the job done. Here we go. So I'm starting to turn it to the left. Here's your water starting to come through. You know, it is starting to spray a little bit crazy because it does have a, there we go. So our backflow is located directly above this. There's not very much line, but some people might have a 40-foot run of copper going down the wall before it goes outside, and that whole pipe needs to drain. Let's see here. Okay, down to a few last drips. Again, a couple drops of water get behind the wall. It's not the end of the world. I've got my little cap. Check that out real quick. There's a hole in the cap. That's that when you start unscrewing that, it's going to start coming through that hole. So you want to make this process pretty quick so it's not spraying everywhere. But anyhow, I'm going to put that back on, thread it on there, tighten it up, and you're all set till the next time it gets turned on. Thanks for watching.